Jupiter at the start of the month until 6th of February. So, how are you combining the expansive, spiritual energies of Sagittarius and the action man or action woman energies of Aries? You've got 6 days left. And it's good time for success, so don't neglect this. Create a vibrant, expansive energy and monitor how you're doing with that creation of courage, drive and divine connection, blessing and sense of purpose. You know, in addition to my weekly vision journey, I have a daily connection with certain deities. This can be so good to connect with them and dialogue with them, as it were, standing before them, exposed to them and speaking from the heart about your key issues now, one of which is action man, action woman expression of your current process of spiritual expansion, reception of blessing and connection to the divine. How's that going? Really important to do that up to the 6th of February when the Parivartina ends. So there's a few notes about that in the blog. So we'll move on to item 4. Well, this is the sort of maelstrom that we've each of us been in, of terribly messy, difficult energies between Mercury, Mars, Sun, Pluto and Venus. It's been a train crash, and it's been very disruptive and disorientating and potentially destructive of, you know, relationship and work. You know, for example, Mercury's gone forward through the Gandanta that lies between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and then back through it and then forward again. The details are in the blog, and I don't really want to go into, you know, a lot of facts and figures. I mean, at the moment, specifically, we've got Mars conjunct Mercury, which is terrible, you know, for arguments, fights, distractions, scatter potential. That's, you know, we've got to be aware of that. If it happens, we've got to handle it in a sharing way that in fact creates better relationship potential ongoing. There's been some good potential amid all this. You know, Mercury-Pluto combined, it's exact on the 5th of February, can have you speaking from your power. Mars in Capricorn, from the 5th of February, can powerfully strategize your work on your tasks. Venus is moving to a square to the nodal axis, and specifically where Rahu North Node is conjunct Chiron. And so in the heavens we have Chiron, Rahu, square Venus. It's exact on the 5th of February. And Chiron square the node is exact on the 7th of February. So Chiron, you know, conjunct Rahu North Node brings a fated energy of healing the wound area of ourself. And here we have it interfacing with how we express Venus. Because Venus is square the nodal axis. How do your Mars and your Venus and how they work together need healing. Is there indeed some sort of destiny issue? We'll do some work to examine that situation and to identify healing that you can take charge of at this fated time. So point number 5 is Saturn. Well, Saturn starts February at 12 Aquarius, ending February at 15 Aquarius. Saturn first entered Vedic Aquarius on the 29th of April 2022, and Saturn finally leaves Aquarius and enters Pisces on the 13th of March 2025. So be aware that Saturn, Lord of Karma, is philanthropic and gives a high manifestation of Saturn energies, and is also structured and businesslike when he's transiting Aquarius, as he is now. And Saturn's essential nature and the essence on his call to each of us humans is most centrally to force us to respond to the unfoldment of our incarnational life purpose this time, our specific karmas in this specific lifetime, and the karmas that are specifically unfolding at this particular time in your life, February 2024. And the point is, if we humans don't heed Saturn's demands, which are on us, and of course we might be in complete ignorance of what those are, Saturn's effect will cause us to suffer and be depressed and sad. It's our fault we're suffering, depressed and sad. It's not what Saturn wants. But we need to achieve accurate knowledge of our life purpose, fate and destiny, and specifically who we should be and what we should be doing at this time. And of course, this is even huger if you're in Sade Sate, the 7.5-year period when Saturn transits through the sign before your natal moon, the sign of your natal moon, and the sign after your natal moon. But if you do respond diligently and with hard work to Saturn's specific demands on you now, well then we experience golden reaping. Saturn was originally an agricultural deity. So we'd be fools if we did not take time this month, as every month, to study what Saturn's demands are on us in our lifetime generally, and in this moment of time specifically. So do, for example, get a reading from me on all these karmic issues, to do with the nodes and Saturn, and how to do the right vision work for you, and bring in astrological awareness now to chart your needed and proper path forward. So as I said, it especially applies if you're in Sade Sate, but also if Saturn is transiting your 8th house, and especially if Saturn is transiting your 22nd Drekana, or if you're in Saturn Dasha or Sub-Dasha, Saturn predictive period or sub-predictive period. The more you do this work, the more you will experience the joy of harvest, of golden reaping. I live in an agricultural area around here, and it's so lovely to see, the harvest being brought in, the children running through the fields of harvest. That's the energy. So what specific tasks should you be working on now and bringing to conclusion now? What specifically is being left undone in your life now? What is being left undone, the loose ends? Which loose ends, most centrally, are you called to sort of tie up now? Okay, let's move to point 6, Neptune. Well, positively, Neptune in Pisces indeed. Neptune's at 1 Pisces, entering 2 Pisces on the 14th of February, and ending February at 2 Pisces. Well, Neptune ideally enhances vision, imagination, sensitivity and empathy and mystical pursuits. It's spiritual and magical. Of course, it has terrible negative potentials of illusion, delusion and drink drugs and so forth. I do, as I said, at least one vision journey every week, and there's so much awareness to be gained from that. So much individuation, becoming the person who one's supposed to be. So much generation of awareness about what's really going on in your life. Shamanism and ancient spiritual pathways can offer us so much way showing as to learning how to use these Neptune energies. You might be interested to know I have Neptune cut off in my chart. It only connects to one other planet, Venus, and that Neptune-Venus aspect doesn't connect at all with any other planet. And absolutely fascinatingly, when Neptune was activated, in fact by age progression, which I can tell you about if you get a reading from me, I had the most incredible visionary openings. I was able to place my hand on rocks, on the rocks of ancient monuments. I was living in Glastonbury in England at the time, and read the energies of Stonehenge and so forth. I was employed by a university doing a social anthropology, an ethnography study of spiritual forms new to the modern West. And ethnography demands that you live in the institutions you study. And so I moved over a 5-year period, spending time at a Hindu ashram in South Wales, Skander Vale. A Tibetan Buddhist Gompa in southwest England to learn about Tantric Buddhism, Sharpham College in Totnes to learn about Theravada Buddhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, paganism. I joined a Wiccan coven and a Druid group in Glastonbury. Shamanism, I trained with John and Caitlin Matthews. Utopian community, I had to live on and off at a bender site. So benders are where you build a willow framework and put a tarpaulin on it and live in a way that treads lightly on the earth and create utopian community. So I'm just telling you all that to show you some of the potential manifestations of Neptune. Okay, it's up to you. Right, Chiron. Well, Chiron's in Pisces at 22 Pisces. And Chiron is sensitive, spiritual and magical in its orientation to healing your central wound. I'm amazed by the healing that one's Chiron return can bring. I know someone who was labelled dyslexic at their school, But by the time of their Chiron return, half return, when Chiron was opposite their natal Chiron, they learned another language, Japanese, maybe not the easiest language to learn, and became a teacher of English, teaching English as a foreign language in a foreign country. So don't underestimate the need to know the detail of what is your existential wound, your natal Chiron. What does it say is your existential wound? And can Chiron's current position in Pisces, at 22 Vedic Pisces, bring an energy of spiritual, mystical, even magical and visionary healing, because it's in Pisces. Lilith Black Moon, item 8. Well, Lilith starts February 24 at 19 Leo, ending February at 22 Leo. And Lilith, it's so important to know about. I mean, I was warned against knowing about asteroids by my first teacher in Western astrology. I was with them for over 10 years, Swiss Huber School, and I learned wonders from them, but asteroids were blacklisted. But indeed, the Vedic astrology gurus say don't touch asteroids, but it's so wrong. Asteroids need to be encompassed, need to be known about. You need to know where the asteroids are in your chart and where they are transiting now in relation to your chart. And that's why, as far as I know, I'm the only person to combine Western and Vedic astrology, and indeed to include asteroids, although I was so warned off them until fairly recently. But then, indeed, I was warned off astrology because of being brought up in a rather dreadful Catholic boys' grammar school. I was caught reading an astrology book and was caned in front of the whole school because astrology is obviously the work of the devil. However, maybe your entry into astrology will be easier. And it's important to know that Lilith is what's stuffed down into our shadow side, what is stuffed down into our unconscious. It fits in very well with Jungian psychology. I have a postgraduate degree in both psychology and sociology, which I can bring helpfully to astrological analysis and healing with you. But some of the stuff in our unconscious is so nasty, it needs to be brought to the light and healed. And some of the stuff in our unconscious is, in fact, the light and power that was denied to us because our parents, priests or teachers or whatever thought it was inappropriate that we should have light and power. And so we had to deny it and push it down to unconsciousness. Well, Lilith is the energy that pushes us to identify what is in our shadow and to ethically express it and heal it when necessary. And Lilith in Leo, the sign where Lilith is now, pushes us to identify and face those inner destroyers of us that lurk in our shadow. They're there, but do you know they're there? Have you brought them to the light? It's about banishing spiritual intrusions. It's about healing, shamanically healing indeed, split off parts of ourselves. I do teach a shamanic healer course. It's on my Druid Forest School website, and it's wonderful to share with people as they learn the methods. So, the whole point is that at the moment, come more into, the management of bad things within your shadow, the acknowledgement of powerful and beautiful things that have been pushed into your shadow. And because it's transiting Leo at the moment, feel right about coming into recognition and accepting praise. Very good work to do now. So point number 9 is asteroid series. Do you know where asteroid series is in your chart? Well, that's your harvest. It's so important to have an indication. What is the harvest I can achieve as I heal and become who I was meant to be? Ceres is transiting in Sagittarius at the moment, and that's the energy of gaining harvest for the self and through others, through exploration, through learning, through intellectual pursuits. Number 10, asteroid Pallas. Well, Pallas starts February at 7 Scorpio and ends February at 14 Vedic Scorpio. And Pallas in Scorpio is the energy of the ability to perceive hidden truths, to explore power dynamics, indeed power dynamics within yourself and within your interaction with others, to unleash inner strength from that and achieve transformation, almost in a, as it were, military way indeed. Asteroid Juno, number 11, Juno is essentially representative of marriage issues, the need for relationship and the refusal to